our ability, at this racetrack. So I'm looking forward to today.
Well, it's got to feel good, Ricky. You're starting farther back. You always want to start first, but when you won in 2023, I think you started almost the exact same spot.
Exact same spot, 31st. So, our duels, just the cautions didn't fall right for us, and, I wasn't as comfortable with the car as what I felt like I needed to be. So we made changes, had a great practice session on Friday, and, we 31st is just a starting spot, and we got 500 miles to do it. We got 500 miles to get to exactly where we need to be, and I got a plan for that. We'll see how it shakes out. Every time you have a plan in our races, the strategies are always changing, and there's always something different going on. So we'll take it lap by lap and take it as it comes.
This is the Super Bowl of racing already. The sitting president being here today makes it even more special. What does that do for a driver like yourself?
It's really cool. I mean, anytime that you have a president that is, recognizes, what this race means to a lot of the country. I mean, we got so many race fans all across the country, and, he was obviously at the Super Bowl. He's coming to our Super Bowl of our sport, and, man, it's always an honor to have a president here, and so it'll be cool. It makes it a little more hectic, with security and things like that, but, I think every fan that we have here is completely okay with having a little bit of extra time getting in and out of the garage.
Do you have any race day traditions, anything that you want to do the same as maybe you did back in, say, 2023?
I got no clue what I did in 2023. Our sport is so wild. We're always changing. Our schedules are always changing. They move the race up an hour, so make sure y'all tune in an hour earlier than what you thought. So, my schedule's been changing all weekend, so we take it as it goes, and, we don't really get super focused until like the national anthem, because we're always doing things with fans. We got driver intros, and you're signing autographs, taking pictures, and if you have a set plan, ritual, routine, it's probably going to change, and you don't want to think you messed up your day.
I like that. What's the driver meeting like, by the way? I don't think I've ever asked a driver that before. What's it like inside there?
For the drivers, it's just another day. It's a video that they play of what to expect, kind of some rules. It's really informative for a lot of our sponsors that come in, or fans that haven't ever been to our races or been to a driver's meeting. They'll learn a lot. So, but it's a way to go in there and just get all the drivers together. And NASCAR will make some announcements if they have any special announcements for the race, or like, hey, don't forget about this rule or that rule, and so things like that.
When you look at this place today, you got 150,000 people here. It's the first race. What does that say for your sport? How big is this day?
This day kicks off our sport, and our season, and it can really set us on a great trajectory. If we have a great weekend here as a sport, put on a good show, the fans enjoy it, we finish the race today and not Monday. Get great viewership on our TVs. And,
that would be great. We'll take it.
Yeah, come on, make sure you tune into Fox. Yeah. So it really just kicks off our season on a great foot, great note. So I like. In 23, we were able to, win and represent the sport for an entire week. What comes along with winning the Daytona 500 is a lot of media obligations, but those are obligations that you're very happy to do. And I think I averaged about 3 hours of sleep, the year that we won the 500 up until our next race at California. So those are sleepless nights that I would gladly have again.
Yeah, I remember talking to you in Victory Lane the next morning, and it just been a short night's sleep, but you would take that every time.
Very short. I think I went to bed at 4:30 that night or that morning, and I think we saw you at 6:30 or 7 that morning. So I'd be happy to do it again.
Well, Ricky, appreciate the time. Have a great race today.
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing you a little bit later as well. We're going to take a quick break here, counting down to the start of the Daytona 500, the 67th running. Stay with us here on Fox.
Thank you to our Fox 35 Orlando team for that. And thank you to Crystal from Searsburg, Vermont. Sonny and Max playing in the snow, waiting for the race to start. So they're getting all of their energy out before parking themselves in front of the TV. You can catch the Daytona 500 on Fox. And unfortunately, it might be a long day and possibly a long night, depending on just how long these likely delays will happen. There is a line of storms that is set to move through the Daytona Beach area between 3 and 6 p.m. It's unclear as to how long the storms are going to be hanging around. Mike from Mike's weather page, and we're actually going to be checking in with him in just about an hour and a half, saying that they are fast moving. So that is some good news for folks out there. So hopefully you won't have to wait too long in between the start and the eventual conclusion of this. So Crystal, we do appreciate you sharing the photo with us. Sonny and Max are absolutely precious, and what a beautiful backyard right there. It's just incredibly picturesque, very different from the weather conditions at Daytona Beach. Ribs getting ready for the big race. Brandon, those look unbelievable from Tallahassee, Florida. That is making me hungry. I might have to just make some ribs myself. So if you wanted to join us, and Stevie, you also weighing in here from Yorktown, go Ryan from Virginia. I like that. I mean, this is quite the setup right here with the caps on the top, and you have the racing paraphernalia, and of course, the TV that you're going to watch the race on. Give us your photos, send us your photos of your setup, of your pets, of your gear, of your food. We want it all because we want to showcase it throughout the day. We just really enjoy seeing how you're celebrating. So all you have to do is scan that QR code right there on the upper right-hand side of your screen. Send us a photo. We're going to be airing them for the next many hours as we ourselves are anticipating that 1:30 p.m. Eastern time start to the Daytona 500 that has moved up 1 hour. So if you're just waking up to this news, it's at 1:30 p.m. They wanted to start it early because they want to make sure that they get as much racing in before, unfortunately, the weather races in, and it does look like storms are likely. We're going to step away for a 2-minute break here on Live Now from Fox, continuing our race day live coverage after that. We are just a few hours away from the Daytona 500, and good morning to you. I'm Stephanie Quinu. You are watching Live Now from Fox as we continue our special race day live coverage. A lot of excitement to get to, and I did want to share this with you as this is a live look at Daytona Beach. Just absolutely gorgeous skies right there. Blue skies, sunshine, not a drop of rain. I wish I could tell you that this is not going to change. However, meteorologists are taking a look at a line of storms that are going to be racing through this area between 3 and 6 p.m. Eastern time. President Trump is expected to attend the Daytona 500. This will be the second time that he has done so, the first time back in 2020. And we are hoping to get a live look at Air Force One as it touches down right here.
So we made some more changes through the Friday practice. Unfortunately, 3 of my teammates all crashed in the duels, so they all had to rebuild cars and go to backup. So we practiced on Friday and then let them practice yesterday. So we felt pretty good about the one car and put it to bed Friday night, and it's ready to go today.
You guys are so good, Ross, at dealing with the elements. I mean, what is a day like today, Brent? You know it's windy. You've already noticed how it's going to affect you in the front stretch and the back stretch, but it might be rain delay. Does any of that play into how you approach the race?
Well, I still prepare for the scheduled start time. I still eat breakfast earlier, and now we'll eat lunch. It's kind of a little odd at 10:30. I've learned to not eat too late. I don't want to be real full getting in the car, so get my chicken and rice in, and maybe an avocado, and feel good and lighter for the race by the time race time comes around, a little after 1:30. So then rain delays. The hardest part is to not snack. Like I just, you're bored, so I just want to eat all the snacks.
I know the feeling.
And our chefs at Trackhouse have tons of food here for us, and it'd be really easy to overeat. But try to keep that to a minimum and be ready to go whenever NASCAR says we're ready.
I love that you brought up the food part of it, because that's something that a lot of people don't think about. Why is it important, one, that you want to eat healthy today, and two, that you don't overeat? Like, is it because when you're in the car you just feel kind of icky if you're like have a full stomach?
Well, it starts with a kind of a longer term view of my seat. It's custom molded for me, and I poured the insert actually in 2019. So as I get older, I'm trying to stay the same. Okay, I want to stay the same size and the same shape, which is hard. It's hard. I'm 32 now. Things aren't as easy as they used to be. So now it's about eating right and exercising to try to maintain that, and it only gets harder. But yes, and then just feeling good. Yeah, in the moment today, I just want to feel light. There's no bathroom breaks in the Daytona 500 unless there's a rain delay. But yeah, I want to be able to be as close to 100% at the end of the race as to wherever I started at the beginning.
Ross, this is already the Super Bowl of your sport. Having the president be here today, having the Beast. We know what happened in 2020. It's just a cool sight to see Air Force One come over. How does it kind of add to today for you?
Yeah, we're proud as a sport that a sitting president would like to come and take in our sport. It was cool to watch him go to the Super Bowl as the first sitting president to do that, and he's been here before. Now he'll be back. So I think in a lot of ways these are the good old days, and we're living in that, in agriculture and racing and in this world. So I'm excited. I see the bright side as the sun comes out again.
Yes.
You brought it with you.
I mean, this is great. Just perfect lighting here for us, and feels good. Like you said, a little cool, but yeah, the sun feels good, and for our Busch Light Chevy, a lot of opportunity. And today for NASCAR is where all that opportunity starts. We've already run the Clash, we've already ran the duels, but the real first race where most of the world will be watching today, all that opportunity starts today.
You brought up agriculture, and I just want to get back to that. Every time we talk to you, we bring it up, but it is very cool. You grew up in Southwest Florida, and your family grows watermelons. That's what they do. But there's also some racing blood that runs through the family. You mentioned earlier that your dad raced a little bit. Your cousin is a racer. So it's kind of you guys are kind of like a dual-purpose family. You got a lot going on.
Well, we farm for a living, and we've done that with watermelons for 8 generations, and the family was farming, like a lot of families that long ago, were farming to survive and to feed their families. And then the racing is a hobby. It's somehow mine has turned into a career, but my dad, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, raced as a hobby. Now I have a little cousin, JT Chastain, who raced at New Smyrna last night, races up at Cordele Speedway in Georgia, and all across the state of Florida in the Pro Truck Series. So that's cool to see him and my uncle, aunt and uncle, and his cousin, or his brother, Cade, my cousin, get into racing the way that our family did years ago. And now they've been bit by the racing bug, and they are hook, line, and sinker. And it's so great to see, and so cool to be over at New Smyrna last night and watch him. A track he's won at before. Didn't get the win last night, but learning. It's racing's hard, and we don't we don't have generations of knowledge to pass on to each other. We're all just kind of figuring it out as we go, and I swear I'm still figuring it out here in the Cup Series.
Well, we're so excited for you. Look for Ross today, the #1 car. He's my pick, and lane 5 or row 5, great to have you.
Fans
always.
have already found him over here. They're waiting for his autograph as soon as we get done.
All right, thank you to our Fox 35 Orlando team. As I wanted to share this live look with you of Air Force One, President Trump is on board. He is expected to take the air in moments, and that's why we wanted to bring that to you live, as he is expected to touch down in Daytona Beach in just about an hour or so.
Great to have you with us this morning. Thank you for being here. I hope that everyone has treated you kindly.
Everybody. America is a good place to be. Yeah.
We're so glad you're here. Enjoy the race. Do you have a pick? Do you have a favorite driver? Do you even know who the drivers are?
Not yet. But we'll figure it out, I guess.
You will. Number 1, did you hear that? They're rooting for number 1. That's the best driver on the track, I'm telling you. Let's send things over to David Martin. Hey, David.
Amy, these are the nails you need to have when you come on into the infield. Say hi to Sandy. Look at those beautiful nails. You got the fit, you got the checkered flag, and it's great. Hot rod, red, yellow. All right, I got Brett and Brett. Brett and Eric. Where y'all from?
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach. It's been a while since we've had a good pool shot on our show, but you're the first for today and first in many years. You gonna have some beer and get in the water?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've had a couple beers over there.
All right, let's get in the water. Jump in 5, 4.
Cheers to Daytona.
Cheers, Dad. Go do it. Oh, down the hatch. There you go. That's good. All right, boys. Let's do it. Get me in the water. In the water. And they're in the water. Very nice. Another one. Beautiful. All right. Daytona 500. We're about an hour and a half away. How's the temperature of that water?
It's perfect.
Feels good. Perfect.
It's cold, but it'll refresh you.
Yeah, we're getting some wind and rain this afternoon, so might as well get the swimming out now. Who are we rooting for today?
Ross Chastain.
Ross. Let's go, Ross. Bush Light.
Bush Light all the way.
You boys, you made our day. Thanks, man. Have a great time out here at the Daytona 500. Brooks, it's perfect pool weather, but not for long, right, brother?
Right. Oh, yeah. We've got wind gusts out here about 35 to 40 miles an hour. Nice and warm. Temperatures around 80. But between 3 and 6 p.m., we're going to see a chance for some showers, maybe even a brief downpour. And if the track gets any water on it, they'll have to delay the race. Now, it kicks off at 1:30, an hour earlier than originally planned, thanks in part to the rain in the forecast. Hopefully, they can get in at least a half or maybe 2/3 of the race before there could be a delay. Hey, maybe we get lucky, but it's a cold front, and we're going to see our 80s traded for 60s to around 70 for our President's Day tomorrow, and it's all thanks to the rain rolling in, unfortunately, during what looks to be the last third of the Daytona 500. But right now, it is thumbs up for an absolutely beautiful morning and early afternoon. Ryan, back to you.
Brooks, sounds good. Let's hope for a dry run. We talk about this being the World Center of Racing. I just met Ben from the UK. He's actually a loyal Goodyear Orlando viewer. He came up and said hi. He's experiencing his first Daytona 500. So truly eyes of the world on the World Center of Racing at Daytona International Speedway. Just to let you know what you're going to experience coming up here in a little bit. The president will arrive about 1:10 at the track. The green flag could drop closer to 2 o'clock. And then, of course, we're going to wrap it all up for you tonight on Fox 35 News. We'll be live in Victory Lane. Hope you enjoyed the show today. We're going to post everything online as well. We'll put all our pictures. Like we said, we interviewed about a third of the field. So for all of our crew, and we have so many people involved in this, thank you for joining us on our special live coverage from the track. Enjoy the Daytona 500. Let's hope the rain holds off. Have a great Sunday.
And thank you so much to our Fox 35 Orlando team for that incredible coverage. And thank you, Shane from Smithsburg, sharing this photo with us, saying, "Go Rowdy Bush. Get that win for me and your lovely wife, KFB." So we appreciate you sharing that. And I have to say, I like the checkered shirt right there. It's, you know, it's very on the nose on this special day right there. So thank you, Shane, for sending that photo to us. We also have this from Jason from Grand Prairie. "Max, is NASCAR ready? I love the safety of all of this. Obviously, NASCAR very loud with all of the race cars. So we appreciate that Max is safety first, protecting his cute little ears right there, but he looks like he is ready for the big race. And I don't know if we have time for perhaps one more right here from Beth from Ocala. Race for the mountains. We see that in the background. Best anniversary getaway around. Wow. So a very special occasion. And hopefully, you know, the person that you want, the driver that you want to win, because that would be a really spectacular way to enjoy your anniversary. And so if you want to be like Beth and you want to send us a photo about how you're celebrating, what you're doing on this day, maybe the favorite dish that you're making for race day, please send us in those photos. We want to share them with everyone. All you have to do is scan the QR code right there on the upper right-hand side of your screen as we continue all of our live coverage. And we also wanted to share this. We were sharing with you Fox 35 Orlando as they were live. Our Fox 13 Tampa team also at the Daytona International Speedway. They held their special coverage, and we did want to share some of that with you as we continue our race day live coverage.
From Fox 13 Sports, this is Race Day Daytona, special coverage of the Great American Race.
Good morning from the World Center of Racing, where today another champion will be crowned, another career forever changed, and another chapter written in the history of this iconic race. We're a couple hours away from the start of the 67th Daytona 500. And this is Race Day Daytona. Welcome out to the track. I am Scott Smith. And what a ride we have for you today on Fox 13 as we get you ready for some racing. 66 previous Daytona 500s. 43 different drivers have claimed the title of Daytona 500 champion. Might we see a 44th today, or could we be in store for another repeat champion? We have 8 prior Daytona 500 champions in the field here today. Might they be able to accomplish one of the most difficult feats in all of racing, and that is to repeat and get back into victory lane. Of course, we're keeping an eye on the weather. That is one of the big storylines as we get you ready for racing on this beautiful Sunday. Right now, skies are great, but we know that there is something a brewing. We're keeping an eye on it. It's going to be windy, and we feel the wind right now. We got rain expected right around 3 p.m. A few showers are possible before then, but a brunt of that rain is going to come between 3 and 5 o'clock today. Hopefully we get some good racing in. Quite windy through 4 o'clock with some gusts upwards of 30 miles an hour. Again, they moved the race time up to 1:30 today. Hopefully we don't get a repeat of last year and a Monday finish. So 41 drivers competing this year, largest field since 2015. Been an action-packed week setting the grid. It started on Wednesday night with the 19 car and Chase Briscoe guiding that Joe Gibbs Toyota to the fastest qualifying lap, securing pole position right behind him and now beside him on the front row. 2022 Daytona 500 champion Austin Cindric in the number 2 for Team Penske. In the Thursday duels, it was Bubba Wallace and the 2311 team claiming the win in duel number 1 to grab a spot on the second row. And then a controversial second duel later that night as Austin Cindric edged Eric Jones in that 43 car at the time the caution was called. Jones still securing the outside on the second row, however. So the field is set, and now one of these drivers has a date with destiny.
You know, I still get excited rolling through here for the first time. You know, every year you land and, you know, at the airport's warm, you know, you drive in and you just kind of, that's the moment where it's like, all right, another year, here we go.
You know, I think the energy level and the people and the crowd and the fans really are, over the years, have made the event what it is. And, you know, if you've not, I think the best way to answer that question is just to come stand out here on Sunday afternoon about 1 o'clock, and then you'll kind of find out for yourself.
When I see this, it's just as important as Indy 500. I think in America, the biggest race in the world is, it's not in America, in the world, is the Daytona and the Indy 500.
If anyone tells you that it's not special, they're completely insane. So I love coming through the tunnel here and just seeing the World Center of Racing up there, you know, on the front stretch is really, really cool to me. And it'd be even cooler if you could stand right there and look up at it after the race. But, yeah, it's always very special.
For a 10th consecutive year, we have a sellout here at the Daytona 500. I'm joined by Daytona International Speedway President Frank Kelleher. Frank, 10 consecutive years. The energy seems to be there, of course. Every year they're ready to go.
Yes, sir.
But particularly this year.
Today's big. You know, not only is it the 67th running of the Daytona 500, but today will be the richest purse payout in motorsports history. IndyCar, F1, NASCAR, this is the richest payout. So from first place to last, the checks are going to total over $30 million. So think about that. Being a fan in the stands today, this is a $30 million race.
As if the incentive wasn't already there. Hey, but kudos to you guys. You moved the race up to try to avoid some of these showers. How well are we going to be able to navigate that still?
You know, it's on the way. I mean, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. The latest rumor that I'm hearing is in kind of that 3 o'clock window. We might have a wind event kick up and some storms to follow. So we have a great team in our tower that is constant communication with the National Weather Service. So we're going to communicate out to our fans if things are on the way. But the good news is it looks like late in the day, early evening, it looks pretty golden. So we're not afraid to flip the lights on if we have to, but fingers crossed, we don't even need to worry about any of that.
You are a track president, but you won't be the only president here today. Am I right? I mean, there's been a lot of rumors.
It is confirmed that the 47th President of the United States, President Trump, will be here for the Great American Race today.
That's going to be fantastic. We noticed an added layer of security measures and screenings and stuff for everybody getting in.
Yeah, so the president was here 5 years ago. A lot of familiar faces on my team, as well as with the Secret Service and White House. So we've got a great plan in place to get our guests in, as well as to welcome the president with open arms and show him a great time.
I know I always ask you what it's like to be such a key part of what is such an iconic race and sporting event, but you're the one that hands the trophy over. You get to shake hands with all these guys that end up, having kind of a slice of history here.
Yeah.
Does that moment ever really sink in for you? What's it like?
It's big. I mean, I'm a blue-collar kid from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Grew up in my family's garage business, going to local dirt tracks, racing myself. It started as an intern. So the fact it's 22 years later, this is my 4th season as the president of Daytona International Speedway. It's something that I take a lot of pride in. I feel I got to earn every day. So it's a very overwhelming experience for me to be in there with that winning race team, and on behalf of the France family, presenting the Harley J. Earl Trophy, which is the most coveted trophy in all of motorsports. So it's a lot of fun. It's exciting. It's a really big moment.
It's a big moment. You're always dressed for the occasion, my friend. I appreciate it. You do such a great job. Looking forward to this. Getting started at 1:30 right here on the track. Coming up on Race Day Daytona, someone that knows a thing or two about the spectacle of championship racing, dare I say the greatest spectacle in racing. We have 2-time Indy 500 winner Joseph Newgarden joining us live here from the track as we get you ready for the Daytona 500, heading your way at 1:30 today right here on Fox 13. And boy, I tell you what, the fans are pouring in. Everyone's excited for this one. The stars are out, the fans are buzzing, the drivers counting down the minutes to the green flag. Race Day Daytona continues after this.
Kneecap.
All right, so we do thank our Fox 13 Tampa for that coverage, and we're going to dip back into some of that here on Live Now from Fox. But coming up in just about 7 minutes or so, we are going to be speaking with Mike Boylan from Mike's Weather Page because of this. You can see the blue skies that he is sharing on his social media page. Unfortunately, he is keeping a very close eye on the weather for Daytona 500. It is not looking particularly promising between 3 and 6 p.m. Eastern time. He's actually there at the Speedway. He is all decked out and ready to go. And so we're going to be checking in with him in just about 7 minutes or so as we continue our coverage right here on Live Now from Fox. We do want to continue with our Fox 13 Tampa coverage as we are setting up our live conversation with Mike Boylan. What to expect with the weather, when we might be really expecting those delays, and how long those delays might be. That conversation coming up, but we're going to head back to Fox 13 Tampa.
Back to Race Day Daytona. Look at the cars on the track all covered right now, getting ready to go. Of course, the starting grid has been set. We got Chase Briscoe in pole position. Austin Cindric on the outside on that front row as well as we get you ready. It's going to be, again, a 1:30 start, moving it up. And now I am pleased to be joined by someone that knows a thing or two about championship racing. He has won the Indy 500 a couple of times now. He's won St. Pete. You, in fact, have some experience, Joseph Newgarden, winning here at Daytona. No stranger to victory lane, having won the 24 hours of Daytona. How's the experience? Are you soaking it in a little bit?
So I'm basically on Joey Logano's schedule this morning, so it's very awkward for me because I feel like I'm about to be racing and I'm not ready at all. I'm like, where's my car? Where's my suit? Is our car fast? I have no idea. But it's great to be here. You know, this is obviously a huge event, biggest event for NASCAR to start the year. I love being a part of Team Penske because we always have something going on, whether it's the 24 hours of Daytona like you talked about, or now it's the Daytona 500. Daytona 500 means we're 2 weeks out from our start. So it's fun to be able to cheer on our teammates that we do all these disciplines. And then, like I said, we're so close to our season start. So I'm getting ready. I'm feeling very amped up and ready to rock. And I hope the rain holds off, but just to be on the ground here and to see this show, it's always impressive.
I know a lot of comparisons can be made between kind of the spectacle, the grandeur of the Daytona 500 and the Indianapolis 500, but as a driver, the butterflies, the nerves right about now before a race.
Oh my gosh, it's hard to ignore them, you know, and that's why I joked, but I'm serious. I'm just being on the ground here. I feel nervous myself, you know, and it's a huge team effort for specifically Daytona in Indianapolis. It magnifies the team effort more than any other race because everything has to go so right here. Your car has to be super fast, you know, and that just doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. You take a lot of time with the team to make the car fast. Joey's got to make the right decisions today. You know, he's got to be perfect on track. They've got to have amazing pit stops. You can't win the race unless all the pit stops are perfect. Car can't break. Yep. You got to nail the strategy. Indy's the exact same way. So, you know, there's just a lot of pressure that goes into these big moments. The Daytona 500, you spend a lot of time working on this. The team feels the anxiety and the pressure, and you want to deliver, and Indy's the exact same way. So even not being in the race, I still feel that anxiety and pressure for this crew that's about to go do this job.
I know you're pulling for Team Penske as a whole, but specific rooting interest for Joey as he's got the same paint scheme as the back-to-back Indy 500 car. Is the pressure on? Have you applied that pressure? Say, hey, you know what? We're unbeaten in this paint scheme. You got to keep it going.
I told Joey, I said, look, it's undefeated. I said, please don't mess up our streak.
Pressure's on.
Yeah, it'd be nice if, you know, he's got enough pressure, so I'm sure it doesn't affect him. But it's very cool that he's driving it. You know, Shell and Pennzoil, what a great partnership we've had. One of our longest tenured partners at Team Penske. They help us with a lot of things. You know, on the IndyCar side, we're running 100% renewable fuel thanks to Shell. And then we partner with them with Pennzoil and that brand to make, you know, the best lubricants possible. When you think about the gearboxes, the engine, everything that lubricates this car, the little bit of speed that you can find in that stuff makes a huge difference around here and around Indianapolis. So the fact that he's running that paint scheme that we ran for the back-to-back Indy 500 wins, it's really cool. So, you know, I joke, I say don't mess it up. It's, you know, it's an undefeated paint scheme, but either way, whether they have a good day or a bad day, I think it's just so cool to see that on track, and I know the fans have loved seeing that scheme too.
And we're 2 weeks to the day until we get things going in St. Pete. How pumped are you for that?
Oh, so excited. I cannot wait for 2025. It's been incredible to be partnered with Fox. I was just at the Super Bowl a week ago with my wife, and they put on a heck of a show. I mean, you guys really do a great job when it comes to sports. You know how to present the show. Fox is not scared to invest in the product, the technology, trying to make the show as best as they can for the fan, and you really feel that. So I say that because this is a new season for us in IndyCar, being with Fox. I think they're going to display the show better than we've ever seen it. So I can't wait for St. Pete to be here. Obviously, the Indy 500 is our big one coming up in May, but it's a season-long championship, and Fox is displaying that. So we want to race for the championship. We want to win the Indy 500. It starts at St. Pete. Everybody's got to be there, and the two cars going to be trying to bring some speed.
He's the face of IndyCar, two-time Indy 500 champion. Back to Race Day.
All right, thank you to our Fox 13 Tampa team for that coverage as you are taking a live look at Daytona Beach. Weather-wise, all is calm for now. We're going to step away for a 2-minute break. After that, we're going to be speaking with Mike Boylan from Mike's weather page. He is there for the race in Daytona Beach. He has been tracking the potential for storms and the possible rain delay for the Daytona 500. He's going to break all of that down for us coming up after this break. On this race day, you're taking a live look at Daytona Beach, and the question on everyone's mind is this: will there be a rain delay for the 67th annual Daytona 500? These clear skies right here might be deceiving. For more on that, we're going to bring in Mike Boylan with Mike's weather page. And Mike, as always, we appreciate you joining us on the show. I see that you're all decked out.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. This is our 1 week a year that we turn tourists in our own home state here in Florida. No shave zone and everything else, but we're having a good time. But yeah, there is weather incoming we probably need to talk about.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. We were sharing with our viewers your social media post with all of the radars and the graphics. As we take a look, of course, the race gets underway at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. They pushed it ahead 1 hour because of concerns for rain. When are we looking at the most potential for that? What's the time frame?
Well, unfortunately, it's going to be so close to that green flag, maybe 30 minutes to an hour right after the green flag. And, you know, lightning's a big concern here. They get a strike within, I think it's 8 miles. They have to clear the grandstands. And it looks like we'll have lightning. The heat's in the air. You can feel that. It's going to be a quick mover. That's the best news of all. It's going to pass through here real quick. It's very windy right now. I got my buddy Phil holding an umbrella. It's about 30-mile-an-hour winds right now. And, but it'll pass. So my gut feeling is they'll definitely start it tonight under the lights, and it'll finish. So we just got to wait a little bit as this fast-moving storm front comes through.
Okay, so you were giving us kind of the timeline on all of this. So, you know, for folks there, the good news is you mentioned it's fast moving. So when there is the delay, obviously they have to make the machines and you know, dry the tracks, you know, but are we talking about, we're not talking about, you know, what happened last year. You're saying under the lights, right, under the stars, this will wrap up by tonight and adding to the excitement. You know, anything else that you're keeping a very close eye on weather-wise with the storm? Because you're saying the lightning, obviously that's a safety issue as well for the hundreds of people.
Yeah, that's true. And last year was a stalled out frontal system that just lingered for days. And this is a completely different setup. You know, in Florida, if you live in Florida and we have these powerful cold fronts, they move very fast. That's the good news. They do bring some rain. Hopefully the rain won't last more than an hour. It takes 2 hours to dry the racetrack. So you just kind of got to keep that in your mind. You know, if it starts raining at 2:30, let's say, we could be back racing, you know, by 6, 7 o'clock. And so, yeah, it could be worse. It could be much worse. And the lightning, I'm not worried about the crew here. I was up in the tower this week and met a lot of great folks. Troy, one of them. They have an amazing system here to get everybody safe. That shouldn't be an issue other than just a little inconvenience, you know, a start, a delay, and then an end. So you get more for your money. How about that? Good news.
Yeah, good news. You're stretching out the experience for a little bit longer. At Daytona 500, they know what they're doing. A very well-oiled machine. Not the first rain day delay to happen. Not going to be the last. So I did want to ask you this. You are there. You know, you're just celebrating alongside hundreds of other people. Who are you looking to win? Who do you think is going to? Who are you rooting for?
Well, I'm old school. Once Dale Earnhardt Senior passed, I don't really have that guy I'm passionate about, but I do think the Penske cars are very fast. Joey Logano is always fast. You can't rule him out here. And Denny Hamlin's very fast. So if I had to pick somebody to root for, it's always been Brad Keselowski. He visited our campsite one year in Talladega, had a few adult beverages. So I kind of grew to like him a little bit because of that, and that's who I'm cheering for.
I mean, what a story. What an experience that is. One more question, Mike, before we let you go, because obviously you want to celebrate before all of this. Two things. One, President Trump is expecting to attend. You know, how does that add to the atmosphere there?
Well, it's definitely the buzz. I mean, I've never been this close to a president. I don't care who it is. The excitement is in the air. I'm really like a little kid at Christmas here. Just think that Air Force One's going to be flying like literally almost touching distance where we're at. And then rumor is the Beast is going to make 2 laps on the racetrack, like on the racetrack this year, not on the apron like the last time. So just seeing that motorcade out here, feeling that buzz. And I've talked to a lot of, you know, FHP, a lot of, you know, Homeland Security folks, Secret Service. So there's a little, you know, enhanced security, but there's also this excitement. I mean, this is 150,000 people. So to have this stage it's once in a lifetime for me, at least.
No, it's so exciting. And before we let you go, I wanted to share with our viewers a photo that you posted about your Daytona tradition. So is this, obviously this is a meal that you ate, share with us kind of what your culinary, traditions are, because we have been sharing with our viewers some really spectacular tailgating and feasts. And this looks like it's like right there at the top.
Yeah, we started this shrimp broil. I had a lot of negative comments, people, if you're listening, about it not having enough seasoning. Well, you got to remember, I got 2 little girls and my wife do not like seasoning. So I put the seasoning on after it's cooked. But we, of course, have shrimp, sausage, potatoes, onion, corn. We have our little tradition. Last year was funny. My pot line from the LP tank caught on fire right in the middle of cooking it. And I got my MacGyver skills out, and we ended up cooking it on the fire pit. So every year we have a story like that. This year the actual gas went out, and we had to run down a truck. We were right in the middle of cooking bacon. So always an adventure when you go camping, let me tell you.
Oh, gosh, it's never boring. But you know what? I'm right there with you because I have 2 little ones as well. And so we definitely, just don't put on a lot of the seasoning. And then the adults who can handle it and actually enjoy it, we do that afterwards. So to all of the detractors and the haters out there, you got to be a parent. You got to understand that. Mike, we do appreciate you taking the time. Enjoy today. I'm sure we're going to be checking in with you. We're all going to be keeping an eye on the skies as we are anticipating that rain delay. But we appreciate you sharing with us when to anticipate that rain and when it will be over. So we thank you for that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And again, we're going to keep a very close eye on the skies before we take another break. Another live look at Daytona Beach. As you see the clouds right there, a little blue skies peeking out, but as you were hearing from Mike right there, these are going to be fast-moving storms, so that's the good news in all of this. Anticipating it, he says, shortly after the green flag is waved, but it should be moving away quickly, and so he's anticipating that the race itself will wrap up under the stars and under the lights, so we do appreciate that as well. All right, we're going to step away for a 2-minute break here on Live Now from Fox, continuing our race day live coverage after that. Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinu. We continue our race day live coverage as we are less than 1 hour away from the start of Daytona 500. We were sharing with you a live look as Air Force One was taxiing the runway in Palm Beach, Florida, now on its way in the air to Daytona International Airport. We are hoping to get a live look once Air Force One is taxiing. President Trump will then make his way to the International Speedway for the second time. He was there back in 2020 and also the first sitting president to attend the Super Bowl. We are going to be sharing with you some thoughts that he has as he is on his way momentarily. But before we do that, we're going to continue our Race Day live coverage with Fox 13 Tampa.
The Daytona 500 is many things. It is, of course, a race. It's a campsite. It's a party. It is a bucket list for many of the fans that are out here today. But if it's anything, it is an experience. That's probably the best way to put it. And the folks that make this the experience that it is, those are the NASCAR fans. And what's a visit to Daytona without mixing it up with some of those NASCAR diehards? What are we waiting for here? What everybody's waiting, congregating by the fence.
Well, just like in racing, you got to wait for the green flag to go.
Are we waiting to get in the infield?
Oh, yeah, we are, man. This is Daytona, baby. What's going on?
We're about to go boogity boogie boogie here in about 4:15. These gates are going to go wide open. We're going to go on the high line. We're going to go grinding here.
Is back cutsies? I'm trying to get through. I'm trying to get through the gate. Do you think if we started chanting "Let us in," they would let us in?
I heard absolutely not.
Let us in! Let us in!
Let us in! Let us in! Let us in! I guess not.
They're all staring at you.
We're going to get there one way or another. I promise you that.
This pass gets me in here, right?
Yep. Daytona!
All right, let me guess, guys. Buy one, get three free.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Where are you guys from?
We're from Tampa. It's my bachelor party. We're all down from Canada. I was here at the 50th, and I was like, all right, I'm going to come back every year.
Second 500 for me. Gets better every year.
Yeah.
First time for me. This is awesome.
How's the bachelor party been so far?
Good. We were down. We were on a gator boat.
Okay, so we've seen gators.
Yeah.
We're at Daytona.
Yeah.
Anything else got planned for
We ate a lot of chicken.
A lot of chicken.
We live in Sarasota.
Oh, we got some more Tampa Bay love.
Married on the start-finish line.
Wait, what?
We got married on the start-finish line here.
2009.
Where are you in from?
Toronto.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Hey, they're from Canada as well.
What part of Canada?
What part are you guys from?
Red Deer, Alberta.
Hey, go Team Canada.
I think the game's on at 8.
I kind of made it my mission to not mention anything about mullets as I talk to fans.
Yeah.
And I'm really, man, I'm tempted. There it is. Oh, baby. It's a beauty. It's a beauty.
I do it myself. Homemade.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. What about you?
She's a little greasy, but it'll work.
Are you going to be on the president's detail by chance?
Well, no. Only one winner in NASCAR.
And who's that going to be?
Kyle Larson.
William Byron. William Byron. Again, back to back. Kyle Larson.
Noah Gragson or let's go Tyler Reddick. Noah Gragson and William Byron.
Noah Gragson and
William Byron.
Okay.
Probably say his name.
I'm not sure.
Come on, Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott.
Everybody knows it's Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott.
I want Kyle Larson.
Riley?
Riley, because your name is...
Riley.
Who's winning the Daytona 500? I thought the exact same thing.
Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney.
I was going to
Say Ryan Blaney. Your friends will like you more.
Ross Chastain.
Remember, working together, you can make a difference in your communities by helping your old pal McGruff take a bite out of dry.
I mean, of all the things I thought I'd see out here, I mean, well, we've seen a Sasquatch and we've seen McGruff the crime dog and a lot of mullets. It's good stuff. Thank you. Everybody's got an opinion on what this race is going to be and who's going to win it, except for McGruff. He was playing it by the book here, not trying to make anybody upset. But it's time now for me to give you my pick, and I'll tell you what, all three manufacturers fast this week. We have seen glimpses from everybody, from Toyotas, Chevys, and Fords. There have been a lot of guys that are in backup rides this week as well. William Byron, he was in a backup last year. He won, so that shouldn't matter. So as I weigh these, man, I got to go with a guy that has been here. He has been close, and I feel like this year he gets it done. He has 36 Cup wins. I think Brad Keselowski picks up his 37th, and he is finally a Daytona 500 champ today. Hopefully. Let's keep our fingers crossed that the weather holds off and the rain goes away. Let's get it out of here. Much thanks to everybody that made this show possible. Frank Kelleher, Joseph Newgarden, Holly Kane, our crew, Brian King, Kaylee back at home, and John Wright behind the camera right now. It's been a blast. Enjoy the spectacle that is the Daytona 500 coming your way 1:30 on Fox. Network coverage is coming your way next. Thank you for watching Race Day Daytona. A beautiful day. The Daytona.
All right, we do thank our Fox 13 Tampa team for that coverage, as I did want to share with you a statement that President Trump shared via Truth Social as he is now on his way to the Daytona 500, saying, quote, "Today I look forward to joining tens of thousands of American patriots in Daytona Beach, Florida for the Great American Race, the legendary Daytona 500, and the official start to the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series. This iconic race showcases the fastest, most fearless drivers in motorsports who represent our nation's love of tradition, competition, and automotive innovation. The Daytona 500 brings together people from all walks of life, from lifelong racing fans to first-time spectators. They all join in celebrating a shared passion for speed, adrenaline, and the thrill of the race. From the roar of the engines on the track to the echo of the Star-Spangled Banner soaring through the stands, the Daytona 500 is a timeless tribute to the speed, strength, and unyielding spirit that makes America great. That spirit is what will fuel America's golden age, and if we harness it, the future is truly ours." President Trump now in the sky, ready to touch down shortly in Daytona Beach. He is scheduled to arrive there momentarily, then making his way to the International Speedway. He is set to be there in just about 25 minutes. His schedule was about 5 minutes, a bit of a delay, but he will be there for the very start of the race, and we've been hearing that he's going to be taking the Beast on the track, which is just incredible. And so many people are just thrilled and excited that President Trump is going to be attending the second time that he will be doing so. And we've been hearing a lot from fans as well. Now, I did want to share this with you as we continue our race day live coverage. Who do you think will win Daytona 500 championship? We were hearing from the Fox 13 Tampa team with his predictions right here. Again, this just opened up right here, but 100% of you right now think Kyle Larson. So we've been hearing a lot of Kyle Larson. We've been hearing a lot of Kyle Busch. There's also Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, so many people right here. All you have to do is scan the QR code right there on the upper right-hand side of your screen. We are just about a little over 40 minutes away, and this is just so exciting. Hundreds of thousands of people packing the stands, watching on TV. You can watch the race live on Fox, not on Live Now from Fox, but on Fox itself. The question, of course, the concern continues to be the weather, and we're just going to share this live look with you as the poll continues to be open. But will there be a rain delay for the 67th annual Daytona 500? We were speaking with Mike Boylan from Mike's weather page. He is saying yes, especially between 3 and 6 p.m. He predicts, he's forecasting, taking a look at all of those radar models, that it will likely happen just about 30 minutes or so from the green flag as we continue our coverage right here. So once again, if you haven't done so already, feel free to make your thoughts known right here, who you think will win the Daytona 500 championship. And right now, it looks like Kyle Busch has taken the lead with 37%. Everyone is so passionate about who they think will win, and we love to see your participation. I mean, this is one of the favorite parts for us as we enjoy sharing your thoughts and also your photos, because all morning long we have been sharing some photos with you. And so we do invite you to send them over to us, and we're going to take another live look as my producer, I think, is going to be sharing some of the very latest with you, as so many of you have been sharing them with us. So I did want to share this one right here. This is from Beth from Ocala. Best anniversary getaway around. I mean, that is one for the books right there if you're celebrating your anniversary at the Daytona 500. Cheryl and Bill from Durham, Connecticut, having fun at the race, and it certainly looks like you are in the stands, packed with new friends, old friends, fast friends. It's just so much fun. This is quite the experience. If you have never attended, it's certainly amazing right there. And take a look at this. Nicole, what a face. Let's go, Joey. I love this from Sterling, Connecticut. Nicole, thank you so much. I mean, this is just the cutest fuzziest little face. So, you know, we enjoy the people. We also really enjoy the pets right here because they are absolutely so cute right here. Harley is rooting for Chase. Also enjoy her snow day here in Northeast Ohio. Certainly different weather in Daytona Beach as we're talking 80 degrees. TJ from Rittman, thank you so much for sharing that with us. All right, we are going to continue our coverage with just a little bit of Fox 35 in Orlando, and we're going to continue that right now on Live Now from Fox.
Finally, yeah, it's windy out here. It is very cloudy at Daytona today. Bring a jacket. You're going to need it. Maybe a windbreaker, potentially for the rain later, too.
Yeah, and bring extra time for security. But we are here. You mentioned driver interviews, and we're good to go already.
Yes, we are. Our dear friend, Ross Chastain, is joining us. Of course, he's a Florida native. He's my favorite, and I actually picked him to win today. He doesn't know that. I'm telling him right now. We had to pick our winners for the day, and I picked you. So thanks for being here.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
So
Great to see you, as always. Yes, I hope so. I hope so.
Starting out.
Well, we're glad you're here. Row 5. It's a great start for you. Great position to start this race today. What are your thoughts going into today?
Yeah, working through the duels on Thursday, I thought the car handled well. It pushed really well, so I was able to get up draft with William Byron, 24 car, and get pushes okay from the 9. So we made some more changes through the Friday practice. Unfortunately, 3 of my teammates all crashed in the duels, so they all had to rebuild cars and go to backup. So we practiced on Friday, then let them practice yesterday. So we felt pretty good about the one car and put it to bed Friday night, and it's ready to go today.
You guys are so good, Ross, at dealing with the elements. I mean, what is a day like today, Brent? You know it's windy. You've already knows how it's going to affect you in the front stretch and the back stretch, but it might be rain delayed. Does any of that play into how you approach the race?
Well, I still prepare for the scheduled start time. I still eat breakfast earlier, and now we'll eat lunch. It's kind of a little odd at 10:30. I've learned to not eat too late. I don't want to be real full getting in the car, so get my chicken and rice in, and maybe an avocado, and feel good and lighter for the race by the time race time comes around, a little after 1:30. So. Yeah, then rain delays, the hardest part is to not snack. Like you're bored, so I just want to eat all the snacks.
I know the feeling.
And our chefs at Trackhouse have tons of food here for us, and it'd be really easy to overeat, but try to keep that to a minimum and be ready to go whenever NASCAR says we're ready.
I love that you brought up the food part of it, because that's something that a lot of people don't think about. Why is it important, 1, that you want to eat healthy today, and 2, that you don't overeat? Like, is it because when you're in the car you just feel kind of icky if you're like have a full stomach?
Well, it starts with a kind of a longer term view of my seat is custom molded for me, and I poured the insert actually in 2019. So as I get older, I'm trying to stay the same. Okay, I want to stay the same size and the same shape, which is hard. It's hard. Right? I'm 32 now. Things aren't as easy as they used to be. So now it's about eating right and exercising to try to maintain that, and it only gets harder. But yes, and then just feeling good. Yeah, in the moment today, I just want to feel light. There's no bathroom breaks in the Daytona 500 unless there's a rain delay. But yeah, I want to be able to be as close to 100% at the end of the race as to wherever I started at the beginning.
Ross, this is already the Super Bowl of your sport. Having the president be here today, having the Beast. We know what happened in 2020. It's just a cool sight to see Air Force One come over. How does it kind of add to today for you?
Yeah, we're proud as a sport that a sitting president would like to come and take in our sport. It's cool to watch him go to the Super Bowl as the first sitting president to do that, and he's been here before. Now he'll be back. So, I think in a lot of ways these are the good old days, and we're living in that in agriculture and racing and in this world. So I'm excited. I see the bright side as the sun comes out again.
Yes. You brought it with you.
I mean, this is great. just perfect lighting here for us, and feels good. Like you said, a little cool, but yeah, the sun feels good, and for our Busch Light Chevy, a lot of opportunity. And today for NASCAR is where all that opportunity starts. We've already run the Clash. We've already already ran the duels, but the real first race where most of the world will be watching today, all that opportunity starts today.
You brought up agriculture, and I just want to get back to it. Every time we talk to you, we bring it up, but it is very cool. You grew up in Southwest Florida, and your family grows watermelons. That's what they do. But there's also some racing blood that runs through the family. You mentioned earlier that your dad raced a little bit. Your cousin is a racer. So it's kind of you guys are kind of like a dual-purpose family. You got a lot going on.
Well, we farm for a living, and we've done that with watermelons for 8 generations, and the family was farming, like a lot of families that long ago, were farming to survive and to feed their families. And then the racing is a hobby. Somehow mine has turned into a career, but my dad, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, raced as a hobby. Now I have a little cousin, JT Chastain, who raced at New Smyrna last night, races up at Cordele Speedway in Georgia, and all across the state of Florida in the Pro Truck Series. So that's cool to see him and my uncle, aunt and uncle, and his cousin, or his brother, Cade, my cousin, get into racing the way that our family did years ago, and now they've been bit by the racing bug, and they are hook, line, and sinker, and it's so great to see and so cool to be over at New Smyrna last night and watch him. A track he's won at before. Didn't get the win last night, but learning. It's racing's hard, and we don't have generations of knowledge to pass on to each other. We're all just kind of figuring it out as we go, and I swear I'm still figuring it out here in the Cup Series.
Well, we're so excited for you. Look for Ross today, the #1 car. He's my pick, and lane 5 or row 5. Great to have you.
Fans
always.
have already found him over here. They're waiting for his autograph as soon as we get done over here. Ross, great to see you. Good luck today.
Thank you. Great to see you as always.
Caroline.
All right, we do thank our Fox 35 Orlando team for that coverage. We are just over 30 minutes from the start of Daytona 500. I'm going to step away for a final 2-minute break of the hour, continuing our coverage of Race Day Live after that. Stay with us. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinn. Time right now coming up on 1 p.m. Eastern. That means we are just about 30 minutes away from the very start of the Daytona 500. And I wanted to share this with you. This is a live look right here of Air Force One. As we have learned, President Trump has now landed in Daytona Beach ahead of his Daytona 500 arrival. We are going to stay on this live look as we do expect him to get off the plane. He will then make his way over to the International Speedway, and we are hearing that he might be doing a couple of laps around the track in the Beast. So I appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Our Race Day Live coverage does continue, and when we get these live looks, we of course will be sharing you them throughout the day. I'm going to step away from the host seat. Karel Lahada is going to be your host for a number of hours as we continue our coverage, not just of the Daytona 500. There are many events happening live right now, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio continuing on his tour of the Middle East. We want to bring you all of the top stories and headlines as they happen. But staying on this live look of Air Force One, as we are expecting President Trump to get off the plane, making his way to the Daytona 500.
Thank you all for sticking with us here at Live Now from Fox. My name is Karel Lahada, and you are taking a live look there as we are continuing to wait for President Donald Trump to get off of Air Force One. He is expected to attend that Daytona 500 race that we have been previewing for the last several hours. You can see here the door to Air Force One is open. And we're just going to linger on this shot here because that's what we like to do at Live Now. We bring these to you as soon as we get them into our newsroom. Now, I do want to read also a statement from the president that he issued earlier today on his excitement for this race and what we can expect. The president saying this on the 2025 Daytona 500. Quote, "Today I look forward to joining tens of thousands of American patriots in Daytona Beach, Florida for the, quote, great American race, the legendary Daytona 500, and the official start of the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series." He goes on to say this iconic race showcases the fastest, most fearless drivers in motorsports who represent our nation's love of tradition, competition, and automotive innovation. The Daytona 500 brings together people from all walks of life, from lifelong racing fans to first-time spectators. They all join in celebrating a shared passion for speed, adrenaline, and the thrill of the race, from the roar of the engines on the track to the echo of the Star-Spangled Banner soaring through the stands. The Daytona 500 is a timeless tribute to the speed, strength, and unyielding spirit that make America great. That spirit is what will fuel America's golden age. And if we harness it, the future is truly ours. So it's a pretty big day and another big Sunday as the president is attending yet another huge sporting event. You may remember it was just last Sunday that President Trump became the first sitting U.S. president to attend Super Bowl 59. I was with you there on the desk as we saw. He also made some remarks aboard Air Force One that we were able to bring you later in the day. It's possible we could be seeing some more of that on this Sunday as well. Back to that statement that the president did issue ahead of his arrival to the Daytona 500. He went on to say, quote, "Since the very beginning, NASCAR has carried forth a proud tradition of honoring our heroic service members for their unwavering courage." While fans from around the world gathered today at Daytona International Speedway, we extend our unending gratitude to the selfless men and women in uniform who risk their lives to keep us safe. When the engines start, and there you see him actually getting off of Air Force One, waving in his hand the iconic red "Make America Great Again" cap. Let me pump up the audio and see if we could listen in. Possibly not, because we are on a tarmac and there is a plane very close by, but let's just listen in for a moment. All right, so you can see here President Donald Trump speaking with Florida Senator Rick Scott. And also just a moment ago, you saw his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, joined by her husband, his son, Eric Trump, their children. And it is another family affair for this big sporting event happening in Daytona Beach, Florida. It's going to start in about less than an hour or so. And we have been, if you have been with us all morning long, showcasing kind of this pregame to the main event today, as we see thousands and thousands of people really go to Daytona Beach for this specific Daytona 500. And yet there, President Donald Trump also making his way to this. We do have a couple of vantage points. This is the best one. You can see the president there putting on his Make America Great Again cap. And it is rumored that he is also going to take a spin around that infamous track in his presidential limousine. At least that's something similar to what we saw back in 2020. Let's take a look at this other vantage point that we have here, a couple of them, as we are monitoring several cameras down there on the tarmac with the president being greeted by so many of these supporters, as well as Florida state lawmakers ahead of this big race. So as we continue to linger on this live picture that we have here, of course, we can't exactly hear what the president is saying to several of those who have been there on the tarmac ready to greet him ahead of the Daytona 500. But I do want to read some reporting from our partners at Fox 35 in Orlando, which thank you to them, because we really relied on them throughout the course of this morning. They had extensive coverage with live reporting down there on the racetrack. President seeming to get into this a caravan of Secret Service vehicles in just a sec there. But I mean, it's official. The president will be at NASCAR's Daytona 500 today in Florida. It may be possible that we might lose this shot in just a second, but let's linger on it for a little bit longer. Now, it will be the second time that President Trump, being U.S. president, has attended the, quote, Great American Race, as he likes to call it. There's even been some speculation that President Trump would attend the event, citing temporary flight restrictions put in place over West Palm Beach and Daytona Beach. And now it is official, as we can see him there on the tarmac heading to that venue. Going to be taking off there in that line of Secret Service vehicles. But the president's visit does come a week after he attended, as I mentioned before, Super Bowl 59, where he became the first sitting president to attend a Super Bowl game. The president there landing really on schedule. He was supposed to land at 1:10 p.m., so really right on the mark there. At 3:05 Eastern time today, he will be leaving the Daytona 500. So it remains to be seen what kind of vantage point we will have of the president while he is in the stands in that venue. But of course, we'll bring all of that to you if we do get those feeds into our newsroom. And then we know that at 3:30 later on today, President Trump will depart from Daytona Beach International Airport back to Palm Beach International Airport. And that is where he is arriving from today. Earlier, he was at his Mar-a-Lago Estates. Now, you may remember that back in 2020, President Trump served as the Grand Marshal for the Daytona 500 and delivered the order for drivers to start their engines. He and First Lady Melania Trump then drove a couple of laps around Daytona International Speedway in the armored presidential limo known as the Beast. Not clear if he is going to be delivering a message at this event or if he will be taking a couple laps around that iconic racetrack, but we'll see. You never know. of course, with the president here. Back in 2020, he did attend it as Grand Marshal with his wife, First Lady Melania Trump. He delivered those remarks before the race, saying, quote, "The Daytona 500 is the legendary display of roaring engines, soaring spirits, and the American skill, speed, and power that we've been hearing about for so many years." And we're seeing here back there to Air Force One as that caravan of Secret Service vehicles is disappearing out there in the distance. I do want to thank you all again for sticking with us here at Live Now from Fox for our Race Day live coverage, which is coming to an end now, as we do want to turn our attention to some more of these top stories that we have been following throughout the beginning of this week into this Sunday. Also looking ahead as to what we can expect and what this next week may bring. My name is Karel Lahara. Given the fact that we can no longer see the president there in that vantage point, we are going to step away for our first commercial break of this hour. When we come back, as I mentioned, our Race Day live coverage is done for the day, but we will be tackling on some more of these top headlines. A live now look over there in Jerusalem and Israel, as it has been really top and heavy, these discussions that have been had by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier today, and just moments ago, we did see the Prime Minister deliver some remarks at a conference. We'll bring them to you after the break. Welcome back, and thank you all for being with us here at Live Now from Fox on this Sunday. I'm going to give you a couple of Live Now looks because we're getting a few of them into our newsroom at this time. This first one is over in New York. So this is the Chinese New Year's Day parade. Oh, so fun. This is a live picture courtesy of our partners down at Fox 5 in New York. It's a fun day. You can see it's raining pretty hard there, and it's a similar situation to what we've seen in many states across the eastern parts of U.S. In fact, we are hearing that these heavy downpours are causing some severe flooding in certain areas. But let's listen into maybe some of what's happening down there. I'm not sure if we can hear any music. It might just be raindrops, but let's listen in for a moment here again. New Year's Day parade, Chinese New Year's Day, over in New York City. are watching here the Chinese Lunar New Year parade returning to the streets of Chinatown over in New York City, courtesy of our partners at Fox 5 in New York. And you may have seen in a couple of the signs there on your screen that it says the Chinese Lunar New Year welcoming the Year of the Snake. Now we see here a photographer reporter on the ground trying to possibly get some more interviews. Let's move away from this until we get possibly a more stagnant shot and take us back out live here to this beautiful picture that we have in downtown New York City, Times Square of Manhattan's Fox Square there on this very rainy Sunday. But I do want to give a little bit more background context to that Lunar New Year parade that we were seeing and go back to this Year of the Snake, if you may not know what that means. So according to Fox 5, the snakes are viewed both with fear and reverence in Chinese culture. Now, on the one hand, venomous snakes are associated with darkness, but in Chinese mythology, snakes are also known as, quote, little dragons, and the skin they shed is known as the dragon's coat, symbolizing good luck, rebirth, regeneration, and the snake also symbolizes the pursuit of love and happiness. In Chinese culture, they are grouped with the turtle and crane as a symbol of longevity. So this year, merchants in China and elsewhere are producing lanterns, soft toys, and other products where the snakes have googly eyes and goofy smiles, so they appear cute and cuddly and don't scare away any of those young celebrators down there on the street. And you may have seen that a couple of the kind of performers were holding up this big paper snake throughout that route, which is brave because it is so rainy down there. And we've seen this really across cities all around the eastern part of the U.S. We do want to step away for another brief commercial break here at Live Now from Fox. We'll continue to bring you more of these live looks when we come back. Welcome back into Live Now from Fox, where we want to continue to showcase the different events and press conferences that are being held around the world. So now we're going to turn our attention to some more of these international headlines and the war between Israel and Hamas, something that we have continued to cover for the better part of more than a year. Taking a look here at a live picture that we are getting over in Israel. However, the remarks being made here are in Hebrew, not in English, so we're not going to be able to stream it in its entirety, but this is happening right now. And when you're taking a look at is families of some of the hostages that were released, they're giving some official statements there at Sheba Medical Center. We're going to be dipping in and out of it seeing if we get some tidbits in English so we can bring them to you, because we do want to hear what these families are saying now that their loved ones are back from being held captive by Hamas. This is due to that ceasefire deal that is currently ongoing between Israel and Hamas. However, details of it and kind of how it's all played out has been kind of shaky going forward. And we know that earlier today, on Sunday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he did meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They did hold some joint remarks. Live now look over in Jerusalem, where we also heard just from the Israeli Prime Minister a bit earlier on today. We had not had a chance to showcase these remarks because we were in some of our Daytona 500 coverage, but I do want to bring them to you next. So we're going to hear from the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. He is addressing the Conference of Presidents of major American Jewish organizations, and this happened in Jerusalem. Let's watch.
That you probably know, you've been around parts of the 50 years of the Conference of Presidents. I think that I've addressed it 18 times in the 18 So, and we've had obviously a very close bond before that during my diplomatic years of diplomatic service in the United States. I have many friends here, long-standing friends. I appreciate the friendship, not only the personal one. Just come back from a historic visit to. I don't think there was any more consequential meeting of a prime minister and a president than this meeting, because we are reshaping the Middle East. We've reshaped it in the year that followed the horrible massacre that we experienced in October 7th. It was seen that Israel was on the ropes, we wouldn't recover, that the plan to destroy Israel, to encircle it, choke it, and kill it was progressing, but within a year and some months, the courage of our soldiers, the stalwart position of our people, and the decisions that we made turned things around. We decimated much of the Hamas We also turned to the north after we made and decimated Hezbollah. I think they were surprised by a few things. We knocked out Nasrallah. We knocked out Dev. We knocked out Sinjar. We knocked out their senior military commanders. And we created a new reality. Lebanon is now undergoing a change in the reality. The Syrian proxy of Iran, which formed the continuum from Iran to the Mediterranean, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, the Assad regime collapsed. It collapsed because it was relying on 15 to 20,000 Hezbollah fighters were not available. There was no one to lead them because Nasrallah was gone. They themselves send forces to save them from Iran. We stopped that. We didn't get any flowers from Damascus, I have to say, but it's okay, we can take it. President Trump and Secretary Rubio is a great friend of Israel as well. I've seen him over the years, and we had a great discussion today. And we talked about how do we complete the change in the Middle East. We have the greatest friend of Israel in the White House now. We see eye to eye on the main tasks that we have to accomplish. And we're in a position to change the Middle East and give Israel the kind of horizon, the kind of hope, the kind of security, and the kind of peace of Israel. We've had great victories in the past. The most important one was the Six-Day War. But the possibilities that loom today before us, just as they are now. And we intend to pursue them to the full. We see eye to eye with the U.S. administration, President Trump, and one is to achieve the release of all our hostages. The second, as I said, is to destroy Hamas. The third is to ensure that Gaza has a different future that we don't just go back, same old, same old, same old. And there I have to say that President Trump has presented a bold new vision and the only plan that I think can work to enable a different future for the people. Not give Gazans a choice. Everybody said this is the largest open-air prison in the world. Not because of us. We let people leave. Left. You know how they left? Because they bribed their way out, not to us. They bribed their way out. The rich could leave. But if other people wanted to leave, give them a choice. War zone, people leave. We tried to get the population to leave, to get them out of harm's way in Hamas with rifles, with gunfire, try to prevent them from leaving. So we moved them around so that they would get out of harm's way. But if people want to leave, if they want to emigrate, it's their choice. And I think President Trump's plan is right on the dot. So that's removing Hezbollah that had planned a ground invasion even worse than Hamas. From terror tunnels and other infrastructure, underground infrastructure, the Lebanese. Now it's your job to make sure that Hezbollah is dismantled and certainly doesn't threaten Israel anymore. We welcome the ceasefire. We welcome President Moon's does the job. But if it doesn't, we will do the job. We've decided on a policy of continuous enforcement. We will not let those violations take place, and we will not let Israel or Israeli targets or Israeli soldiers, you can clap, by attacking us from Lebanon. That has ended. With Syria, we are committed to ensuring that once we remove Syria as a threat to Israel, it doesn't become again a threat to Israel. For that important purpose, we also destroyed the remnants of the armament. You know where we took that, which leaf we took that from? Do you know? Well, there was a naval presence in that this naval presence would fall in the hands of the Nazi regime in Berlin, so he ordered the destruction of that French Navy. And I think 1,200 soldiers, French soldiers, were lost, and it was a tragic thing. I don't know how many Syrian soldiers we killed. I think a handful, maybe. But we got rid of the armaments of the Assad regime. We will not allow Syria to be used again as a staging ground for attacks against Israel. Now, all this has been done to date, but of course, of all these attacks against us, all this aggression against us, and that source is one country. It's Iran. It's not merely a country cause, and it's a bad cause. It's a theological, well, it's a, I would say, a theological thuggery. I mean, they hold means of water. They have a huge water shortage. I once offered to give them Israeli technology. I put that on a video. I got millions of responses from Iran, millions. Of course, the Iranian government wouldn't think of it, wouldn't think of doing something really productive for their people. They spend tens of billions of dollars in Syria, on Lebanon, on Hamas, on the Houthis. We're dealing with them too. Iran's GDP has hardly grown. Ours has gone through the roof. Have you been to Tel Aviv recently? And that's changed. It's changed because we did some world. Iran did nothing. Nothing for their people. They hold them hostage, they shoot them, they torture them, they suffocate them. So Iran is not merely a threat to us, it's a threat to their people, but they are a threat to Israel, a threat to every country in the region, and a threat beyond our region because they're the greatest sponsor of terror in the world. The greatest threat that Iran poses is that this decrepit regime would achieve nuclear weapons. And we are committed, as President Trump has said many times, and as for the security of Israel and the security of America, but I think for the security of the world. I think all these achievements that we've made so far would have been impossible without the extraordinary sacrifice and bravery of our soldiers, those who fell, and those who continue to fight. I quoted many times the line in the Bible that says, "They shall rise like lions. They have risen like lions, They fight like lions, and they will win like lions. We are seeking victory, nothing short of victory, and it's within our reach.
We're listening here to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who was earlier today at the Conference of Presidents, for which you are taking a live look out of that city in the top right-hand side of your screen. In the bottom right-hand side, we are also back here in the U.S. Taking a live Daytona 500. So the signal a little spotty, given the fact that there are some severe weather conditions in the area, of course, but the president going to be doing those laps, or he did post on X from NASCAR on Fox, but just going to linger on this shot for a little bit here. I'm going to see where the president gets situated. We also saw in this picture his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump. Earlier today, we saw his son, Eric Trump, also in attendance. And then you can see that famous Make America Great Again hat stepping into that Secret Service vehicle. It is possible that we could see it happening right now, where he is taking this morning. If you have been with us, my colleague Stephanie Quinn has been guiding you through a pregame of sorts for this entire event happening in Daytona Beach, Florida. And that is forecast throughout the day today, and it's actually why the race was delayed. Not delayed, actually, scheduled earlier for about an hour. I do believe this is possibly do a lap around the track. Let's just watch for a sec. While we wait to see what goes down here at the Daytona 500 race with the president, seeing if he's going to be taking that lap here and we can showcase it for y'all, we're going to step away for a brief commercial break. We'll be back out to this live picture when we come back.
Act now at midnight because this offer expires, and it did. Joey, Democrats have been scrambling to come up with a response to all this because this White House has been flooding the zone with news. Is the White House worried at all about these protests that seemingly have been going on every day at agencies like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Office of Personnel Management, the Department of Labor? We've seen them all over D.C.
Yeah, I actually don't think the White House is totally concerned about the backlash at this point. You know, I think Democrats have really struggled to find a way to effectively voice their opposition to this. These protests, you know, aren't going to stop the Trump White House for moving forward. But, I think the backlash could eventually happen where, there's something to be said for good functioning government. And if some of these, workers that they strip out of various departments, if all of a sudden people see that affecting their lives, they're going to hold the Trump White House accountable. And so I think that's long-term where this could get difficult for the White House.
Jason, long-term for the future of the federal workforce, we are always going to have federal workers in some capacity to run the government. What does this do to the next generation of federal workers? Does it diminish it as, a vocation that people would want to enter into public service?
The firing of the probationary employees, which is, it was a blanket at first. They walked it back a little bit to say, well, it should be based on conduct or performance. That's going to take a real chilling effect on the future as well, because people are like, hey, I came in through an internship program. Hey, I'm a 20-something who wants a good career to do something good in the public sector. And wait a minute, all these people just got fired. It's also a supreme waste of money, and I think that's really the other piece that's not being mentioned.
We're going to continue our conversation on the Hill Post Show. Comes up on Fox Local after the break. Jason and Joey, we hope you stick around, and we'll continue our conversation over on our free streaming app. I want to remind you, coming up here at 9 a.m. this Sunday morning, it's Fox News Sunday with Shannon Bream. We thank you, as always, for spending part of your Sunday morning with us. We'll see you back here next Sunday on the Hill.
And thank you to our partners there at Fox 5, also Tom Fitzgerald, for providing us with those segments on the Hill every week where he tackles some of the biggest headlines politically out of Washington, D.C. A live now look once again there at the Capitol building. It's just a beautiful shot on this Sunday. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and thank you for sticking with us here at Live Now from Fox, as we want to turn our attention now to some more of these international headlines. A Live Now look over in Jerusalem at this time, nighttime, on that side of the world. I want to detail some of the latest news that we have out of Jerusalem. As you know, that earlier today, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Sunday fully endorsing Israel's initiatives in the Gaza Strip. Now, this comes after he met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the start of what's going to be a regional tour for the Secretary of State. Their joint remarks, which we showcased earlier today, came 2 weeks before the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, and that first phase was set to end. The second phase, in which Hamas would release dozens of remaining hostages in exchange for more Palestinian prisoners, a lasting truce, and the withdrawal of Israeli forces, has yet to be negotiated. Now, one part of this trip to Jerusalem for the Secretary of State that we have not showcased yet is the fact that he did tour a memorial there along with the Israeli foreign minister. Let's play out some of that press conference, that news conference, I should say, and we'll start by hearing some remarks from the Israeli foreign minister.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Chairman of Yad Vashem, Dani Dayan, ladies and gentlemen. We live in a time where the ancient desire to eliminate the Jewish people has become stronger. It has become a plan of action for our enemies. We live in a period where anti-Semitism has risen again and spread across the world, and it has only been 80 years since the Holocaust. Its survivors still live among us. Esteemed Secretary of State, in the Senate confirmation hearing for your important position, you outlined the unique danger of anti-Semitism very well. Anti-Semitism has brought indescribable suffering to the world in general and specifically in the previous century. I believe that the United States global leadership has a powerful moral standing when it bears the banner of the fight against anti-Semitism. This banner has already been waved by the current administration under the leadership of President Trump from its first days. The new anti-Semitism is the persecution of the state of Israel, the state of the Jewish people. It uses demonization, delegitimization, and double standards. The attempt to deny Israel, the most attacked and threatened country in the world, its right to defend itself, is horrific. The use of so-called international courts to try and tie Israel's hands to assassinate its scared right to self-defense is the most evil thing. Our nation is one of the most ancient peoples in the world. It should today have been one of the largest nations, had our people not been murdered across the world throughout our long exile when we did not have the means to defend ourselves. Mr. Secretary, we are descendants of King David and Judah the Maccabee. We know how to fight, and we are determined to fight for our existence in the lands of our forefathers, if only the sword is not taken out of our hands. Not supplying us the necessary tools to fight with and the legal warfare being waged against our right to self-defense is a dangerous combination. We do not have greater friend than you, than the United States of America, in our journey to ensure our national existence here for generations to come. And I believe that you do not have a greater ally than Israel in your quest to defend America's values and interests. May these words be in the blessed memory of Yocheved, Rivka, and Razel, the sisters of my late grandfather David, that were murdered on European soil because they had no one to protect them.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Saar. I am honored to invite His Excellency, Mr. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State of the United States of America, to deliver his remarks.
Standing here today, we are reminded of both the incredible achievements that we as a species, as mankind, are capable of, and also the depths of depravity that we are capable of. The depths of depravity are self-evident, that not 1,000 years ago, but only 80, less than a century ago, on this planet, in perhaps what was considered the most cultured and civilized of all nations in Europe, arose a movement that industrialized the mass murder of over 6 million human beings because of their heritage, their culture, and their religion. That happened, as I said, not so long ago. There are those alive today who survived it, who witnessed it as liberators, and who witnessed it as those who said nothing while it happened. This ancient poison called anti-Semitism, which has plagued mankind for centuries, has visited us now again in this new century. It hides behind geopolitics. It embeds itself in international organizations, in the curriculums of our colleges and universities, in the voices of some who hide in social media and even openly espouse this ancient poison. We stand here today also reminded why it can never be ignored, why it always starts by what some believe is the wild ideas of a random person with no power and no influence, but left unchecked and unchallenged, can turn into the tragedy that's commemorated here in this building today. I said at the outset that not only are we reminded of the depravity of mankind, but we're also reminded of the human spirit and what it's capable of achieving. For from that moment emerged the nation state, a home for the Jewish people, in a land ancestral and ancient, who there's ties to it cannot be questioned. And it is a nation state that from the day of its very birth was surrounded by those who sought to destroy it, from the very minute, from the very moment. And sadly, that has not changed. But while the enemies of Israel have always come at it from an armed perspective, through armies of nation states and terrorists, we now see them also utilize international forums and international illegitimate courts, and in the voices of academia, on the campuses of colleges, and the voices and opinions of prominent people. This cannot be ignored. This cannot be tolerated. This must be challenged. Everywhere it rears its head. For if history teaches us anything, is an evil that goes unchallenged does not simply vanish or go away on its own. It is either defeated or it will grow and it will do horrific things.
Thank you, Secretary of State Rubio. To mark the 80th anniversary of the end of the Shoah, the upcoming Israeli presidency of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, IRA, has initiated a global campaign of recommitment to the message and principles of the Holocaust Survivors Declaration delivered in Yad Vashem in 2002. We now call upon the U.S. Secretary of State, Israeli Foreign Minister, and Yad Vashem's chairman, IRA's incoming chair, to become the first signatories of this declaration, reaffirming their commitment to honor the memory of the Holocaust, the victims, survivors, and rescuers. I now invite His Excellency, Mr. Marco Rubio, to sign the Yad Vashem guest book. At the crossroads of generations, we express our thanks and will now proceed to the next part of today's special visit. I do request, however, that the media please allow our guests to depart.
All right, wanted to play out some of that back for you. Just one of the news conferences that we didn't have a chance to get to earlier today, as we did focus a lot on the Daytona 500 coverage. But that was Secretary of State Marco Rubio meeting with the Israeli foreign minister. You are taking a live look out here in Jerusalem. And as I mentioned before, this does come as the fact that the second phase of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas has still yet to be negotiated. Rubio is taking a tour now of that region. You may remember that last week. And for the last couple of weeks, in fact, he did make his first visit as Secretary of State of the U.S. To several Latin American countries. Now he is focused on the Middle East. At the same time, we are also hearing that President Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, he was telling Fox News that he had, quote, very productive calls on Sunday with Prime Minister Netanyahu and officials from Egypt and Qatar, which are serving as mediators about continuing talks for that second phase of the ceasefire deal. Witkoff also saying that hostages to be released include 19 Israeli soldiers, and that, quote, we believe all of them are alive. For the latest regarding some more of the hostages that were released just this weekend, let's get to this report from Fox News correspondent Stephanie Bennett.
Israelis across the country are cheering Saturday as additional hostages return after 16 months of captivity. Hamas parading the 3 newly released hostages in Gaza, including 1 American-Israeli citizen. Many Israelis breathing a sigh of relief as the hostages seem in better physical condition than the last 3 men who were released, looking gaunt and frail just a week ago.
There are no words that can explain how excited we are, how much we've been waiting for him at home.
It's all part of a ceasefire deal that seemed fragile in the past days, but is now holding up. Meanwhile, hundreds in the West Bank celebrate the return of 369 Palestinian prisoners, including 36 who were serving life sentences for deadly attacks, all in exchange for 3 hostages.
It's an indescribable feeling mixed with pain and joy. God willing, the joy will be complete with the release of all the prisoners.
Now questions on whether the ceasefire will reach its second phase, where Hamas is supposed to release all of the hostages left in its captivity as long as Israel ends the war. One Israeli-American hostage who was freed just weeks ago is making a plea to President Donald Trump.
Mr. President, once again, your leadership, power, and authority are necessary to enforce the ceasefire.
President Donald Trump posting a deadline on his Truth Social account on Saturday, writing all of the hostages held by Hamas must be released by noon. He also said the U.S. will back whatever decision Israel takes. In London, Stephanie Bennett, Fox News.
Thank you to Fox News correspondent Stephanie Bennett for that report. We are taking a live look at the White House over in Washington, D.C., as we also know that the Israeli Prime Minister's office has said that on Monday, Israel's Security Cabinet will meet to discuss the second phase of this ceasefire deal. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. Let's continue with some more of these international headlines. Turning, though, now from the war between Israel and Hamas to the war between Russia and Ukraine. Taking a look here on your screen at a post on X from Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson, in which he writes this: Trump-Putin-Ukraine peace talks in Saudi Arabia will take place in the, quote, coming weeks. That's according to President Trump's newest national security advisor, Mike Waltz. And that's what he told Shannon Bream on Fox News Sunday. Now, we do have an excerpt from that interview that was held earlier today as Waltz continues to discuss the ongoing efforts to end that war in Ukraine. Let's watch.
National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Thanks, Shannon. Good to be with you.
Okay, so a lot to cover here. Let's talk about this. European leaders putting together what's being called an emergency summit in Paris tomorrow. They've been rattled by some of what they heard from members of the administration in Munich. They reportedly are not going to have a seat at the table for these opening talks with Russia about winding down that war. That's according to Special Envoy Keith Kellogg, former general. You said last week, though, Europe has to own this conflict moving forward. So why shouldn't the Europeans have a seat at the table at these conversations?
Shannon, let me tell you what we heard this week. We heard President Trump engage President Putin of Russia, immediately engage President Zelensky. And here's what both leaders had in common. Both of them said in those back-to-back calls that only President Trump could get them to the table. Only President Trump could drive peace. And, you know, this notion that our European allies haven't been engaged. President Trump also spoke with Macron this week. We have a visit with Prime Minister Starmer of the United Kingdom coming up. And we had no less than our Vice President, our Secretary of State, our Secretary of Defense, our Secretary of Treasury, who was in Kyiv personally, and our Special Envoy Kellogg, all in Europe this week, all engaging our allies. Now, they may not like some of the sequencing that is going on in these negotiations, but I have to push back on this any notion that they aren't being consulted. They absolutely are. And you know, at the end of the day, though, this is going to be under President Trump's leadership that we get this war to an end.
Okay, so there are talks about talks starting this week. You are reportedly part of that team that's going to be in Saudi Arabia talking with the Russians, but there are questions about Ukraine's role. Here's what Senator Adam Schiff says. The president's inability to even identify Ukraine as an equal bargaining power after all the blood Ukraine has shed, it's just a shocking surrender of American values and interests. Now, President Zelensky says he's not going to be bound by any deal that's negotiated between Russia and the U.S. Are the Ukrainians going to have a seat at the table for those talks this week?
Well, what Secretary Besson, our Secretary of Treasury, was talking to Zelensky about, and then follow on with talks with Secretary Rubio and the Vice President, was entering into a partnership with the United States. We're talking about growing the pie for the Ukrainian economy, and I can't think of any better security guarantee than being co-invested with President Trump, with the American people going forward, and having those investments as a protection in of itself, number one. But number two, the American people deserve to be recouped, deserve to have some type of payback for the billions that they have invested in this war. And then further, Shannon, you know, I can't think of anything that would make the American people more comfortable with future investments than if we were able to be in a partnership and have the American people made whole. And I'll point out, much of the European aid is actually in the form of a loan that is repaid. It's repaid with interest on Russian assets. So, you know, President Trump is rethinking the entire dynamic here. That has some people uncomfortable, but I think Zelensky would be very wise to enter into this agreement with the United States. There's no better way to secure them going forward. And further, there was a question of whether Putin would come to the table. He has now done so under President Trump's leadership.